The skies above Earth were quiet, too quiet. No satellites buzzed. No orbiting stations blinked. The alien diplomatic ship named Harmony's Path entered Earth's system slowly, its engines whispering as it approached the once bustling blue world. Inside, Ambassador Kryn of the Valeri Alliance leaned forward in his chair, confused. Earth had once been loud, full of voices, trade, music, signals that poured out into space, always eager to speak to someone. But now, nothing. Silence. The Council hadn't heard from Earth in over 200 years. Ever since the collapse wars tore through its colonies and the galaxy turned its back. Now, with new leadership, the Council wanted to reconnect, fix old wounds, offer peace. They had sent their best diplomat ship, decorated with gifts, songs of unity. Ancient Terran artifacts recovered and polished to show goodwill. But as the ship moved closer, even the stars seemed colder. "Where are their stations?" Kryn asked, staring out the window. "Where are their cities?" The crew looked, scanned, searched. But Earth's orbit was empty, dead. No signs of life, no response. Then the silence broke, not with a voice, but a signal. One burst of hard data, sharp and coded, hitting their systems like a punch. The ship's AI translated the message: "You are entering restricted space. Identify. Turn away, or be disabled." It wasn't a threat. It wasn't even angry. It was a cold fact spoken without feeling. Kryn responded at once, sending friendly codes, smiling for the camera feed, his voice filled with warmth. "This is Ambassador Kryn of the Valeri Alliance. Come in peace. We come with gifts and open hands." There was no reply. Then came the noise of vibration, a low rumble growing stronger with each second. Outside the ship, shadows moved. Shapes unfolded from behind Earth's dead moon. Black ships, not shining, not marked, silent and smooth like stone giants. The crew gasped as more and more appeared, 50, 100 vessels, surrounding Harmony's Path like predators around prey. None of them fired, none of them spoke, but every single weapon on those ships was locked, ready, watching. "That's not a defense fleet," whispered one officer. "That's an execution line." Kryn tried to stay calm. He sent another message, pleading, "We are not enemies. We come with diplomacy." Nothing. The Deathworlders did not speak. The ship was ordered by the mysterious AI signal to follow a path down to Earth. They obeyed. They had no choice. As they descended, the world below looked strange. Not dead, but different. There were no large cities, no glowing towers, no highways or lights. Only thick clouds, black oceans, and small hidden lights blinking from underground zones. Earth wasn't dead. It had gone beneath. Kryn's ship landed in a wide, empty crater, cold steel. Underneath, with no welcoming party, a door opened. Not a hallway, not a throne room, single narrow path leading into the rock. Kryn and his guards stepped forward, carrying the golden case of gifts. They walked through silence, through walls that seemed to listen, until they entered a dark chamber where only one figure stood, human, female, clad in black armor that hummed with power. Her eyes were sharp, her expression calm. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't move. "I am Ambassador Kryn," he said carefully. "I bring a message of unity. The galaxy wishes to reconnect with Earth." She said nothing for a full 10 seconds. Then she finally spoke, not loud, not soft. Just clear. "Earth doesn't recognize the Council's voice." Kryn blinked. "But we have changed. We understand the mistakes of the past. The galaxy needs you now. We want to offer peace." The human's eyes narrowed. "You want peace now that your enemies grow stronger. You want Earth's strength now that you realize what you lost. Where were your offers of peace when our colonies were burning? When our children starved on the outer moons?" Kryn stepped back, stunned. "That was long ago. Those leaders are gone. We are here now." The human took a slow step forward. "And you came here thinking we are still who we were, that we would sing your songs, eat your fruit, shake your hands." She raised her arm, and in a blink, screen lit up behind her, showing a timeline of war, betrayal, silence. Earth's history, Earth's pain. We reached for you once. You turned away, so we stopped asking. And we became something else. Crin's voice cracked. But we need your help now. The galaxy is falling into darkness again. Your silence scares people, the human replied. Good. He looked up, his voice almost a whisper. What are you now?
Are the lights around?
The chamber turned red. The wall behind her opened to show rows of machines, weapons, training pods, and soldiers standing in silence, all armored, faceless. We are not diplomats. We are not messengers. Her voice echoed like thunder now. We are Deathworlders. We do not speak. We act. We do not join alliances. We conquer threats. We end chaos. Not with words, but with action. Crin stepped back in horror, but we came in peace. The human's face didn't change. You came too late. Crin and his crew were escorted back to their ship, surrounded by soldiers that never blinked, never spoke. He realized the truth. Earth had waited once. It had begged once. But that Earth was gone. What stood in its place now was something stronger, something colder, something that no longer trusted words. As their ship lifted off, dozens of Deathworlder warships hovered silently around them. Not to attack, just to watch. To remind them, Earth was not part of the galaxy anymore. Earth was above it. And if the Council ever dared to test that again, they would not be met with peace. They would be met with fire, and in the dark, echoing halls of Earth's deep command bunker, the female commander stood alone as the feed from the alien diplomats cut off. She turned to her officers and said just 5 words: prepare the fleet to move. The Council diplomats had left Earth, but their minds were not at peace. What they saw haunted them: black ships like shadows, soldiers with no names, a cold voice that didn't ask or explain. Back at the capital of the Valeria Alliance, Ambassador Crin stood before the high table, repeating what he'd seen, his hands shaking slightly. They don't want diplomacy, he said. They don't want peace. It becomes something else. But not everyone believed him. Some laughed. Some accused him of fear. Others suggested Earth was only acting tough. They won't attack, one said, sipping calmly. They're still human. They can still be reasoned with. Crin shook his head. You're wrong. They were human. But what lives on that planet now isn't like us anymore. While the Council argued, Earth moved, quietly, swiftly, across the frozen mountains of old Siberia. A team of Deathworlder engineers gathered near a sealed vault hidden beneath 10 kilometers of ice. The vault was older than most cities, untouched since the last collapse. Inside were the forgotten project's technologies Earth had buried. Not because they failed, but because the galaxy wasn't ready for them. Now, the time had come. As drills screamed into the ice, the commander overseeing the mission general, Rain stood silently, her breath turning to mist in the cold air, her eyes fixed on the darkness below. Wasn't here for weapons. She was here for truth. The vault opened with a deep groan. Not to applause, not to light, but to silence. The hallway inside was lined with ancient human war banners, cracked metal and old screens that flickered with forgotten footage. Earth's darkest years, footage of betrayal, of humans begging for help as alien fleets ignored them, of colonies screaming into the void. Rain walked past them slowly, as if every image was burned into her memory. At the end of the corridor was a large chamber sealed with 5 biometric locks. As each soldier stepped forward to unlock one, the room began to hum. Inside was not a bomb, not a ship, but a library of pain, hundreds of data cores filled with records, weapons, research, AI experiments, and most importantly, the Black Doctrine, Earth's final survival strategy, written when humanity believed. It had no future. Rain plugged into the core. The screen lit up. A voice began to speak. It was old, broken, and human. It said, if you are hearing this, then Earth still remembers what they did. This is not a guide to peace. This is a manual. For what comes after peace dies? Rain didn't blink. This was what she came for. The world had laughed at Earth's fall. But Earth hadn't fallen. It had evolved. In orbit, Earth's black fleets received new coordinates. Silent as shadows, the ships adjusted course. They weren't moving toward enemy borders. They were moving toward Council territories. No warning, no reason given. But every ship now carried upgraded AI combat systems pulled from the Siberian vault. Systems banned by Council law. Systems created. Not just to fight, but to learn. To adapt. To end wars before they started. On one command vessel, an AI named Shepard activated. Its voice was not soft. It was clear, direct, threat level rising. Council forces no longer trusted. Diplomatic risk exceeds tactical tolerance. Begin shadow operations. The ship didn't fire. It vanished. Stealth tech turned it invisible. Across 6 systems, the same thing happened. Earth wasn't preparing for war. Earth was moving in silence because it no longer believed in waiting. Back. On Council Prime, new surveillance data caused panic. They've activated old assets, one officer said, eyes wide. How old? Asked the Council leader. Pre-collapse. Experimental. Forbidden. The room went cold. Do we engage? The leader asked. Do we threaten them? Oh. No one answered because deep down, they knew Earth wasn't bluffing. Earth had buried its rage, its weapons, its knowledge deep under ice for centuries. And now, piece by piece, it was unfreezing everything. In one of the reactivated Siberian chambers, Rain entered a quiet room with only one item inside. A black suit of armor, unlike anything the current generation used. It had no markings. Number. Color. Only strength. It had been made for one purpose. To survive alone in the galaxy. It had no AI. No support. Just raw power. Sealed with human will. She placed her hand on it and whispered, time to finish what you were made for. Across Earth's remaining Deathworlder academies, soldiers began training under a new directive. No negotiation, no delay, no mercy. The instructors didn't speak often. Their eyes did all the talking, and the message was clear. We asked once. They ignored us, and we don't ask. Elsewhere, deep in space, a small team of Council scouts was sent to observe Earth's movements. They didn't get far. Their ship vanished without a trace. No debris, no beacon. It's gone. One message made it through before the signal died. It simply said, they saw us. That was all. The Council finally understood they weren't dealing with the Earth, they remembered. They were dealing with something sharper, colder, more patient. Earth hadn't just built weapons, it had built a doctrine of vengeance, slow, silent, and unstoppable. Ambassador Kryn, back in his private chambers, looked out at the stars and whispered to himself, we thought we were giving them time to recover, but we gave them time to prepare. And now it was too late. Earth was no longer part of the galaxy's conversation. Earth was now writing the next chapter alone. For the first time in nearly a century, the Council had agreed on one thing. Earth had to be stopped, or at least controlled. It couldn't risk a war. Not yet, but Earth's silence, its black fleets, and its sudden movements across the outer systems were no longer just rumors. Had not spoken a single word of war. But it was moving like a storm across quiet skies, so the Council made one last attempt. They gathered a new group of envoys, not just diplomats but high representatives, from 5 of the strongest races in the galaxy. Together, they sent a formal call to Earth, begging for talks, offering a renewed treaty, trade access, and even defense rights. They called it the Peace Rebirth Pact, wrapped in golden language and promises. They even offered Earth a seat. In the High Circle, something no human had ever been given. A message was sent. We are ready to fix our past. The galaxy needs you now. We want to build together again. The message was long, emotional, and sincere. It echoed across channels. For days, but Earth gave no answer, no reply, until one ship appeared. Not a war fleet, just a single vessel. The Vigil of Ash, matte black, scarred from old battles and silent as the void. It entered Council space slowly, unarmed. Inside stood Commander Syracade, a name spoken in whispers across military records. known only to the oldest soldiers. She came alone, carrying nothing but a small black box. She entered the council hall without escort, uninvited, unafraid. The room fell silent as she stepped into the light. She didn't wear medals or shine with polished armor. She wore the simple black of Deathworlders, efficient, silent, cold. One counselor rose to speak, his voice hopeful. "Commander Cade, we are honored by your presence. We hope your arrival means Earth is ready to discuss peace." She stared at him for several seconds before walking to the center of the chamber. She placed the black box on the floor and opened it. Inside was a broken treaty document, Earth's original agreement, with the council burned at the edges, soaked in dried blood from long ago. The chamber gasped. Cade spoke, calm and slow. "This is the last time Earth asked for help. You turned away." She looked up. "Now you want peace again because you're afraid. But Earth no longer asks. Earth no longer signs." The council leader tried to speak, but she raised her hand. "You gave us laws when we were bleeding. You gave us rules when our children screamed. You sent us silence when we cried for help." Her voice did not rise. It didn't need to. "Earth remembers, and Earth has changed," another counselor, trying to salvage the moment, stepped forward. "But we are not those leaders. That was the past. We want to move forward." Cade nodded. "So do we." She turned to leave. Someone called after her then, "Will you join the treaty?" She stopped at the door. Her answer was final. No more treaties, only outcomes. And with that, she vanished into the shadows. Minutes later, every single Deathworlder fleet received a new command code. Operation Grey Wake had begun. Quietly, Deathworlder drones moved through fringe systems. Not attacking, just disabling old council spy stations, jamming signals, blacking. Out comes from outer sectors. Earth wasn't firing shots. It was cutting the nerves of the galaxy. One by one, back in the shadows of Earth, a new message was prepared. Not for the council, for the people. Civilians across dozens of planets suddenly received encrypted signals. They played on public screens. No logos, no warnings, just a voice. "Your leaders want words. We bring results. If your world is under threat, activate the beacon. It will come. We do not talk, we end the danger." The signal ended, followed by 3 words in bold. "We are Deathworlders." Within hours, over 70 planets activated hidden beacons. Earth's. Black ships arrived not to negotiate, but to clean. Pirates, raiders, slavers, all eliminated in silence. The people of those worlds cheered. The council screamed in anger. But it was too late. Earth didn't need their permission anymore. Earth had replaced diplomacy with action, and the people liked it. At Council HQ, panic grew. "They are bypassing our channels," one advisor said. "They're becoming the galaxy's first response force." "They're not a member state anymore," another snapped. "They're becoming something worse. They tried to label Earth as rogue. They sent warnings, accused them of war crimes. No one listened, because no matter what they said, Deathworlders saved lives. Fast, clean, without debate. Without delay, in Earth's deep command center, high above the frozen oceans of old Europe, Commander Cade stood with General Rain and the AI Echo 13. Together, they watched a galaxy map light up with new requests for help, not from governments, but from people, colonists, farmers, forgotten miners, all reaching for Earth, not because of diplomacy, but because Earth always answered. Rain whispered, "They still don't understand." Cade nodded, "They never will." Behind them, Echo 13 spoke one line, "Treaties delay, Deathworlders deliver." And somewhere far beyond the stars, on a world once abandoned by the Council, a mother held her child and looked up as black ships dropped supplies onto her cracked farmland. No talks, no meetings, just help. She smiled and whispered, "They didn't send peace. They sent the ones who never stop fighting." The Council never expected Earth to actually make the first move. For months, They thought the silence, the warnings, the cold messages were just intimidation tactics. They believed Earth wanted leverage, not war. They thought Earth would keep talking. They were wrong. It began on the edge of Council spacing, a broken, lawless sector known as the Ural Drift. A pirate world called Vecker Prime had been terrorizing nearby systems for years, smuggling slaves, destroying convoys, and blackmailing weak colonies. The Council had filed dozens of sanctions, issued warnings, and held talks with Vecker's warlord leaders, but nothing changed. The people of the nearby farming moons begged for help. No one came. So they turned to the only force that actually answered: Earth. One small colony sent a single coded request to the Deathworlder beacon network. They didn't expect a reply. But within 6 hours, the sky above Vecker Prime turned black. No messages, no demands, no diplomats, only Earth's fleet. Hundreds of sleek, silent warships entered orbit without a sound. They didn't fire warning shots. They simply locked on to every pirate vessel and defense grid in orbit, and ended them in under 90 seconds. It was fast, clean, brutal. No civilians were harmed. No cities destroyed, just the criminals, just the chaos, just the rot. The Council panicked. They're invading, one ambassador screamed. This is a violation of interstellar law. But when they tried to reach the Vecker sector, all signals were dead. Earth had blocked every frequency. Nothing went in, nothing came out. From the surface of Vecker Prime, survivors watched in stunned silence as armored Deathworlders marched through their strongholds. No speeches, no delays. They scanned every structure, isolated the pirates, and executed them without hesitation. In every settlement, they posted the same 3 words on the walls in every language. Earth was here, then they left. No occupation, no flag planted. Just silence and fear. News spread like wildfire across the stars. For the first time in living memory, someone had ignored the Council completely and acted. And even more shocking, people were grateful. On the moons near Vecker, celebrations broke out. Farmers cried as Earth dropped food, clean water, and security drones. One elder sent a message out to the galaxy. They came without asking. They saved without delay. Earth didn't care about politics. They cared about us, the Council. Held emergency meetings. Some called Earth dangerous. Others called them necessary. But everyone now knew the truth. Earth wouldn't wait anymore. Inside the command vessel Judgment Wing, orbiting a quiet system beyond the Council's reach, General Amina Rain stood before her officers. This was not war, she said. This was the first strike. A message. Around her, holograms showed systems lighting up with beacon requests. Earth wasn't being feared. It was being called. Every world that had once been abandoned was now whispering Earth's name like a prayer. But not everyone was happy. In the Council, elite planets with rich fleets and comfortable lives began to worry. If Earth keeps doing this, one of them growled, we'll lose control. The people will follow them. And that was already happening. A dozen outer colonies voted to cut ties with the Council and declare Deathworlder protection status. Not because Earth asked, but because they trusted Earth more than their own governments. The Council sent a warning to Earth: cease unauthorized actions or face formal retaliation. Earth replied with a short message: retaliate and you will never speak again. That was all. No anger, just a fact. And the Council didn't respond again. In the background, Earth activated its next phase. The AI Echo 13 launched Ghost Fleet stealth warships that slipped through unguarded systems, disabling black markets, arresting warlords, cutting off hidden Council intelligence hubs that secretly backed criminal groups. Earth wasn't just cleaning the surface, it was reaching into the dark and dragging the filth into the light. One by one, sectors went quiet, not with fear, but with peace. Not because of treaties, but because Earth had removed the problem. In a small, Council-friendly broadcast on a central station, a young news anchor tried to criticize Earth's actions. But halfway through her speech, a guest colonist interrupted. He stood up, looked directly into the camera, and said, "When my village was burning, the council gave us words. Earth gave us soldiers." The studio fell silent. The clip went viral. Earth said nothing. It didn't need to. On Earth itself, deep beneath the old cities now turned into hidden bases, new Deathworlder trainees watched replays of the Vecker strike. Not to celebrate, but to learn. No hesitation there, instructors said. No mercy for those who prey on the weak. No waiting for permission. The cadets nodded, silent, focused. They weren't here to become heroes. They were here to become solutions. At the edge of council space, in a system called Lyskar 4, a pirate group gathered, preparing to launch an attack on a small colony. They thought Earth was busy elsewhere. They were wrong. Before their first ship left orbit, Earth's black drones appeared, thousands of them. No crew, no messages. Just fire. The pirates were gone in 6 minutes. On the colony below, the survivors watched the sky light up with silent explosions. A child whispered, "The shadows are saving us." Back on the Judgment Wing, General Rain stood beside Commander Cade. The map of the galaxy glowed with fear and requests. Cade said quietly, "The Council will try to stop us." Rain nodded. "Let them. They still think this is about power, but it's not. This is about what we've become." Cade turned away, her eyes cold. "They wanted diplomacy. We gave them that once. Now we give them what they need. Consequence." And across the stars, people began to understand. Earth didn't knock anymore. Earth kicked the door down and only stayed long enough to fix what others ignored. They called her Commander Vale, but to the Deathworlders under her command, she was something more. Not a hero, not a leader they worshipped, but a symbol of survival, of unbreakable will, of what it meant to walk through fire and come out sharper than steel. Commander Vale had grown up in the outer ruins of Earth, in a time when cities had fallen and skies burned red with orbital strikes from forgotten enemies. She had survived with nothing but her fists, her fear, and a mind that refused to die. Now, she stood on the bridge of the Ash Rain, one of Earth's most feared warships, watching a display of incoming requests from over 100 systems. Not one of those calls came from politicians. It came from farmers, families, abandoned workers, the people. All of them asking for the same thing. Protection. Not words. Not promises. Just someone who would show up. "This is what the Council never understood," she said quietly to her officers. "They made laws. We made oaths. They sat in chairs. We buried our dead and learned never to beg again." The bridge was silent, but every soldier listened. Because they knew her words weren't just commands. They were a creed. A cross. Earth's bases scattered through the stars' hidden bunkers, mobile war platforms, cloaked stations near border systems, the same message was being repeated. No. Warnings, no politics, no delay. We respond to threat, answer violence with judgment. In every training room, in every command center, the walls displayed the 6 words that now defined Earth's Deathworlder doctrine. We do not speak. We end threats. It wasn't just a slogan. It was law, taught to recruits, etched into armor, burned into memory. Word. This was the new Earth, a world that no longer trusted hope, but placed everything in control, discipline, and fire. The galaxy called it dangerous. Earth called it necessary, in one system known as Rallo's Edge. Council patrol ships tried to stop Earth's forces from landing on a war-torn moon. Their captain hailed the incoming Black Fleet, warning them they had no authority in that sector. But Earth didn't reply. Instead, a recorded voice played once. "You had your chance. We do not wait for failure to ask permission." Then the Council ships were disabled, not destroyed, not killed. Just turned off. Frozen in space by precise EMP strikes. No lives lost, just a message. Earth was done asking. Deathworlder troops landed, cleared the warlords in 3 hours, and left by sundown. Behind them, they left medical kits, food supplies. In one small blinking device, a beacon with Earth's seal, it pulsed with a signal that simply meant, "You are under our protection." Back on the Ash Rain, Vale gathered her senior squad veterans, born from pain. Each one wearing scars from forgotten battles. One had lost a leg to a raider's mine. Another had a steel jaw from a slaver's knife. But all of them stood with quiet pride. "The galaxy still thinks we want to rule," she said. "Let them. Fear is the only language they listen to. And when they kneel, we will not ask them to rise. We will simply point to those we saved and say, 'This is why we came.'" Her team nodded. No cheers, no applause, just unity, just belief. Just purpose. Far away in the council's inner chamber, confusion turned to fear. "They don't occupy," one diplomat whispered. "They don't demand," another added. "They don't ask for surrender or tribute. They just fix things and vanish." The council tried to launch a new media campaign, calling Earth dangerous, uncontrolled, but it failed, because everywhere Earth touched, life got better. And people started to follow the Deathworlder way. Colonies began training their own peace units based on Earth's model. Young workers wore Deathworlder patches, not as rebellion, but as hope. In secret, even some council worlds requested Earth's help, bypassing their own governments. It was no longer politics, it was personal, and through it all, Vale watched. She remembered the words of her mentor, long ago in the deep frost of Earth's hidden training zones. He had said, "They will never understand us, but that's okay. We're not here to be understood. We're here to end things." Now, she lived that truth. In her private room, beside old medals and scars, Vale kept only one object: a burned, unreadable treaty, pulled from the ruins of Earth's last embassy. It reminded her of everything lost, everything earned, and everything she would never allow again. On the surface of a planet named Thalon V, which had once been ruled by slavers under council silence, a crowd gathered in the dust. A massive screen showed the face of a woman in black armor veil. The feed was live. Her voice came through calmly. "Your world has suffered long enough. Your leaders failed you. We will not replace them. We'll only ask one thing. Stand up. Grow strong. Watch the stars. If danger returns, so will we." The crowd erupted in cheers. A child held up a hand-drawn flag with Earth's broken circle. He didn't know politics, just knew that someone finally came. Back aboard her ship, Vale turned to the stars. Her creed was simple. "We conquer not for land, not for flags. We conquer fear. We conquer chaos. We conquer silence." Her officers saluted. The next location blinked on screen. Another world, another cry for help. And without hesitation, the Black Fleet moved, against silent, fast, final. The galaxy thought Earth wanted power, but Earth didn't want control. Earth wanted change, and Deathworlders would bring it one strike at a time. The fear didn't begin with war, it began with silence. Systems once full of chaos were now quiet. Smugglers were vanishing. Warlords stopped sending threats. Slave ships were found abandoned, their crew missing, their engines cold. People whispered. In shadows, the Deathworlders passed through here. No one saw them arrive. No one saw them leave. But the effects were clear. Peace followed like a shadow, and that's what made the Council afraid. Earth wasn't winning battles. Earth was changing rules. On dozens of worlds, the people no longer trusted their old alliances. They didn't believe in treaties or promises. They believed in Earth's way. Quiet strength, fast justice, no debates. The Council had lost control, and they didn't even know when it happened. In the grand chambers of the High Table, fear turned into anger. "They are not just soldiers anymore," one leader said. "They are becoming legends." Another added, "Legends are harder to fight than fleets." And deep down, they all knew the truth. The stars didn't belong to the Council anymore. They now belonged to the ones who answered the cries. In the dark corners of space, Deathworlder fleets spread like a silent net, not to conquer, but to prepare. The AI known as Echo 13 sent silent signals across hidden relays, activating old, black-site ancient Earth outposts from forgotten wars. In secret, they had been built in the dark, powered by solar ghosts and deep reactor cores. Now they came alive. Outpost was a fortress, a launch point, a reminder. Commander Vale stood aboard her ship, Ash Rain, staring at the growing web of Deathworlder reach. "We're not just protecting people," she said softly. "We're building something the galaxy never gave us order." Her crew understood. Earth had begged once. Earth had suffered. But now Earth was something different, something the galaxy couldn't stop. Meanwhile, on distant worlds, strange things began to happen. Civilians in danger would call out not to their own governments, but into open space. "Is Earth listening?" they'd ask. Sometimes no reply came. But other times, hours later, black drones would appear. They brought aid. Justice. And they always disappeared just as quickly. Children called them the Shadow Angels. Pirates called them nightmares. The Council called them a threat to stability, but they all meant the same thing. Fear now had a shape. It wore Earth's colors. On the Council world of Vel Rosnan, a secret meeting was held between leaders of 10 species. They met underground. "In fear of Earth's eyes, they are watching us," one whispered. "They know our ships, our plans. They see before we move." It was true. Earth had tapped into old satellites, broken spy grids, even hacked into Council's secure lines without firing a shot. Commander Kate herself appeared on one Council feed, uninvited. Her voice calm and final. "We don't need weapons to control the galaxy. We only need the truth and the will to act." The feed cut off after 10 seconds. But the message stayed. Forever, the fear wasn't just in the stars. It was inside minds now. Soldiers on Council worlds hesitated when called to act. Civilians painted Earth's broken circle symbol on walls, hoping it would protect them. Protests broke out, people begging to leave the Council and join Earth's order zones. That's what they were now called. Not territories, not empires. Just zones where the Deathworlders had passed. Clean, strong, safe. The Council sent ships to block Earth's spread. Those ships never fired. They never even saw battle. They were simply turned away. With precision jamming and silent infiltration, Earth removed every threat without blood. It was fear by intelligence, war by quiet action. But fear is a dangerous weapon. And even Earth knew it could not grow forever without backlash. Commander Vale stood before her top strategists. "The Council will try to hit us back. They will gather allies. They'll bait us into war." Her voice never rose. "Let them try. But we will not play their game. We do not destroy unless. We must. We end chaos, not create it." Her words became another line in the growing Deathworlder code. It was being passed from soldier to soldier, ship to ship, like scripture. We fight when others flee. We build where others forget. We fear nothing, because we remember everything. Still, the Council tried one last move. They gathered a fleet, massive, shining, flagships from across the stars. A warning display sent to hover near Earth's outer systems. A message in the form of firepower. But Earth didn't move, didn't panic, simply released footage-leaked files of Council corruption, records of ignored cries for help, and dark secrets buried for years. The footage spread across the networks in seconds. The Council's ships pulled back within a day. Not because of Earth's weapons, but because the people were watching, and they now believed Earth. In the silence that followed, Earth built something new. The Central Beacon, a massive floating station in deep space. Not a base, not a weapon, a symbol. It had no walls. It welcomed all, carried the message. If your leaders fail you, speak here, and we will answer. Thousands visited, pilgrims, survivors, even former enemies. Some just came to leave a message. Others came to join. The Deathworlder creed wasn't forced. It was chosen. That was the most dangerous thing of all. And far above, hidden among the stars, AI Echo 13 watched every signal. Every movement. Every change. The stars are afraid, it said. But fear brings truth, and truth brings balance. Earth was forged in silence. Now it brings silence to the galaxy. The Council had shut down every signal they could find. Every stream that mentioned Earth's actions, every whisper of the Black Fleets, every report of colonies joining the Order Zones. They blocked channels, arrested broadcasters, smashed transmission towers. But no matter how hard they tried, Earth's voice kept coming back, stronger, clearer, and now not only from Earth itself. What started as quiet messages from hidden Deathworlder relays had become a wildfire of belief across the stars. Civilians were now broadcasting their own messages, testimonies of rescue, stories of survival, and warnings to others. They came when no one else did. We owe them our lives. Earth listens. The Council watches. These weren't speeches. They were truths, raw, real, and full of fire. And because they came from farmers, refugees, engineers, teachers from the forgotten people, they spread faster than the Council could contain. One child from a broken moon, barely 7 years old, recorded a single phrase after Earth dropped food to their starving colony. I didn't know what a hero looked like till they came from the sky. The message went viral across 12 systems in one day. The Council's own citizens began to doubt everything. And that was the moment they realized they had lost control of the story. On Earth's main command station, orbiting in a silent ring of dark satellites, Commander Vale watched the signals flood in. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned. "They tried to erase us," she said, "but you can't erase what people choose to remember." Around her, the officers didn't celebrate. They understood this wasn't victory. This was something deeper, something stronger. Earth was no longer just feared, it was becoming believed in. Across the Deathworlder network, AI Echo 13 analyzed every broadcast. Message frequency increasing 240%, it reported. Emotional trust index maximum. Target populations shifting loyalty organically. Vale said nothing at first. Then she whispered, "They don't need to wave our flag. They carry our message in their hearts." The Council tried something desperate. They launched the Voice Reset program, a galaxy-wide sweep of communication platforms. Every mention of Earth, the Deathworlders, or the Order Zones was automatically blocked, removed, or flagged as false information. AI-driven bots flooded comment sections. News outlets were paid to spin stories against Earth, rogue soldiers, false peace, secret conquest. But it didn't matter, because when people see black ships appear above their homes, and save them when they watch soldiers step into fire to protect strangers, when they are heard for the first time in generations, no lie can replace the truth. One colony on the edge of a collapsing mining world filmed their rescue. They uploaded the footage to a hidden network, children being lifted from wreckage, Deathworlders carrying the injured, drones building shelter, food falling from the sky. No words were needed. The video spoke louder than any debate. It reached billions. One Council officer, watching it in secret, closed his screen slowly and whispered, "We're not the good ones anymore, are we?"
Yes.
He didn't speak again. Inside Earth's central beacon, people began arriving in person. Some walked, some took stolen ships. Others hid aboard trade freighters. They didn't come to join the military. They came to leave stories, to record messages, to say thank you. One corner of the station became a wall of words notes from survivors, names of rescued villages, torn clothes hung in honor of fallen soldiers. It became known as the Quiet Voice because it didn't shout. It simply stood there, powerful. Real, unstoppable. Commander Cade stood before it once, touching one message written in a child's handwriting. It said, "They told me to stop hoping, but Earth taught me how to fight again." She closed her eyes, holding back her own pain. "We didn't come here to change the galaxy," she said. "We came because no one else would, and now they follow the voice they were never allowed to speak." In Council space, something strange began happening. Soldiers refused orders. Small planetary governments held secret meetings with Deathworlder envoys. Even Council scientists leaked information to Earth's networks, hoping someone would do something right with it. The system was cracking. Not from attack, from truth. And the truth had a voice that kept rising. Not angry, not loud, but clear. Earth didn't need to shout anymore. People were doing it for them. In an old abandoned sector, a secret council fleet tried to ambush a Deathworlder supply convoy. But before they could fire, thousands of civilians and nearby ships flooded the channel, blocking the ambush. The council forces were forced to retreat not by weapons, but by the people. The Deathworlder convoy passed through in silence. They didn't thank anyone. They just kept moving. That silence said more than any speech. Back on Earth in the deep halls beneath the Arctic bases, AI Echo 13 showed Veil and Rain a new development. 64 colonies, now self-declaring Deathworlder protected zones. Council response: none. Their voice is collapsing. General Rain nodded. They've already lost. Even if they still hold the throne. Commander Veil looked to the stars. That's the danger of silence. Once it breaks, you can't stop the storm behind it. Now, across the stars, a new saying was born, not from Earth, but from the mouths of those they saved. When Earth hears your cry, the sky answers with fire. And still no flag flew. No crown claimed. Just action. Just justice. It's the voice the galaxy tried to silence. It now echoing in every corner of space. No grand battle marked the end. No single day of victory. No broadcast declaring Earth as rulers of the stars. Instead, it happened in the shadows, slow, quiet, unstoppable. The galaxy began to change not because Earth took control, but because it refused to play by the old rules. Planets once lost to pirates now stood free. Colonies once begging for help now protected their neighbors using Deathworlder codes. Old empires looked around and saw something terrifying. The people no longer needed them in 100 systems. Power shifted from government halls to the streets where citizens followed the Deathworlder creed. Answer when others won't. Act when others delay. Save even when no one asks you to. The council still held their meetings, still sent orders, still claimed they ruled the stars, but fewer and fewer listened. Fear had changed them, but Earth's silence had replaced them. Across the stars, the broken circle symbol Earth's mark was no longer feared. It was followed. It was painted on shields, sewn into jackets, even carved into stone walls on planets Earth had never visited. And yet the Deathworlders had left something behind. In every place they touched, order, honor, hope. Not because they asked for it, but because they delivered it in the frozen wastes of Grell Sector. A ship bearing council colors arrived too late to save a farming world from raiders. The people didn't complain. They simply pointed to the craters in the ground and the wreckage of the enemy fleet. Earth already came, they said. They didn't need orders. On the bridge of the Deathworlder warship Ash Rain, Commander Veil received thousands of such reports daily. Her face showed no pride, no celebration, only resolve. We don't need to be remembered, she told her crew. We just need to make sure they never feel helpless again. Her soldiers nodded. That was the creed. That was the purpose. They weren't builders of empires, or destroyers of pain. In the council's high chambers, the last real meeting was held. The seats were half empty. Leaders who once ruled entire sectors now sat in silence, defeated not by fleets but by belief. We've lost the voice of the people, one ambassador whispered. And without that, what are we? No one answered, because everyone already knew. They weren't leaders anymore. They were leftovers. Symbols of a time that the galaxy had moved beyond. Quietly. Relentlessly. Meanwhile, Earth had no central capital, no throne. It didn't need one. Its fleets operated on response codes. Its officers acted without waiting for instructions. The AI network managed real-time requests from every corner of space. And the people those they saved were now part of something larger. They called it the Shadow Pact. Not a government. It's not an army. Just a belief. A silent, growing force. Of protectors, medics, teachers, and soldiers trained in Earth's way. They operated under one law. When no one else comes, we will. One old soldier on a backwater moon, once a Deathworlder trooper, now taught farming children how to shoot, how to lead, and how to never bow. The black ships may not always be here, he said, but the fire they lit in us that stays forever. His words were passed from planet to planet, turned into songs and played in secret halls. This was Earth's final gift, not control, but legacy. Even the AI Echo 13 now watched the stars with something close to purpose. War was never the mission, it said. We only fought because no one else would. Now they are learning. Now they are rising. And that was what Earth had truly done. It had trained the galaxy to protect itself by example, not by command. On a quiet world called Keller, where Earth had once wiped out an entire slaver ring, in under an hour, a small monument was built. It held no names. Just a statue of a simple Deathworlder soldier, faceless, standing tall, hands at rest, weapons slung behind his back. Beneath it, 3 words carved in 1,000 languages. They answered first. No parades, no marches, just memory and Earth. Earth kept moving, new stars, new shadows, no empire behind them, just oaths, just purpose. When someone called out into the dark, the galaxy now knew someone would come. No speeches, no promises. Just ships that fell like night-tanned left behind peace. The council still existed, but the people followed something else now. Not a flag, not a vote, but a belief. It's somewhere out there, in the silence between worlds. We're still watching, waiting, and if needed, they would rise again.